so wonderful to be in the house of the Lord this morning.
Praise the Lord.
And I get to keep on teaching, so fun times. We've been talking about, our toolbox and so continuing on with that kind of thought process. So we've talked about kind of our root cause analysis and looking at ourselves and different things that we're dealing with that the Lord's trying to deal with us, so we can kind of get to the root of some issues and begin to grow. Then we've also talked about methods of being an effective Christian. But right now I want to start diving into actual tools that I think everybody should have in their toolbox. Every household you have those random tools, screwdrivers and hammers. But the first tool that I kind of want to talk about is a flashlight. Now it seems like a pretty mundane and simple tool, but it's a very important tool. It's very important to us as Christians because we are the light, right? So Psalms 119 and 105, it says, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." So, flashlights you use for many different occasions. You can use a flashlight for when you're working on something. If you're having to, say, work on a pipe that's underneath the sink, you don't really have good lighting in there, you can use a flashlight to help see what the issue is, see where the problem is. They use it when they're working on motors, when they're working on different things where it's dark, if they're working in a cellar or they're working underneath a house. You have many different uses for flashlight. It helps to illuminate. It helps to shine into the corners if there's an issue in a corner, behind things, and it helps us to see what we can't see in normal circumstances or in the darkness or surroundings that we would be under. Understanding the effectiveness of a flashlight and the brightness that it illuminates in the darkness, I think this is important for us to kind of think of that when we're dealing with our things in our own lives and as we walk with the Lord. It helps to illuminate what cannot be seen. So if you're in darkness, it's hard to see because our eyes aren't made to see in the dark. They're made to see with light. So, John 11 and 10 says, "But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth because there is no light in him." So if we do not walk in the light, we do not allow the Word to be our guide, we will merely stumble around in the darkness. So it's when we're walking down the path that the Lord has laid before us, if we're not allowing His light and His Word to be our guiding light and be on the path before us, we're not going to see exactly where we're going. And sometimes when you're walking down the road and you come across a stumbling block or a pothole, you're not going to see that. And you stumble, and sometimes you can hurt yourself even more because you didn't allow that light to be that guidance that we need. So, in this instance, the Lord is going to be our flashlight. He's going to be what is showing the way in the darkness. So if we do not walk in the light, we do not allow His Word to be our guide, we will merely stumble around in the darkness, never really seeing what is going on and what's ahead of us. Flashlights are used when inspecting because shadows and darkness can muddle what we are looking at. The darkness can surround and distort the path, and we may not be able to see the path before us. This is the reason that we must allow the light of God and His Word to be our flashlight, to be our kind of guiding step. It's important for our walk to be clear, so that way when we find ourselves struggling on different things, we can understand what that obstacle is that's in front of us. So we can circumvent it if we need to, or we can find another route so that in the sense that I say safe in the sense that we don't want to stray from the path that God has laid before us. And so if the enemy has put a stumbling block before us, we have that light ahead of us. That way we can see where we're going. If we're not careful and we don't make sure that we're in line with God and His Word, we may fall by the wayside. Again, getting back to that, if you're walking and you step into a pothole, you can fall over, you can hurt yourself, you can break an ankle, you can sprain an ankle, and it makes it harder to continue forward. So the importance of having a flashlight is so that we can see where we are going and seeing the obstacles clearly. If there's work that needs to be done, it is important for us to have a light source so that we can clearly see what needs to be fixed. If we can see what needs to be fixed, then we can see what we're working on. We can move forward and make sure that we take care of what's going on. There's another factor with a flashlight though. Sometimes when we're in an emergency situation and there's others around and others are in the darkness and they don't have a flashlight, they're not going to know where they're going. So, me coming from a manufacturing world, if the power goes out, we have to get a flashlight and we have to try to gather as many people as we can, and we have to try to escort everybody out of the building as safely as possible. A flashlight in that instance is very important, so that way people can see where you are, see where you're going, and they can follow you to a safe location. So, allowing God to be in our lives and His Word to guide our steps not only helps us to see where we're going and see the things that we're dealing with, but it can also help show others a way and a path to follow, so that way they can get their own flashlight, if you will, so they can have their own light in their own lives. Matthew 5:14-16, Jesus says, "Ye are the light of the world, a city that is set on a hill and cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." So God is our light, but we are to be the light of the world. So we are to be showing something different. We're supposed to illuminate our surroundings that are around us. We need to be that light so that way others can see where we need to go. Be a beacon. We are to be the light of the world, a beacon, so that we are to let our light shine. We are not to hide it, but let it shine brightly. A good light source, what good is a light source if you cover it up? It does no good. You're burning out the batteries and you're just letting it fizzle out. There's no point to having a light that you're covering up. So we need to let our light shine brightly and let it guide not only our steps, but show others a new way to follow. And in that darkness, that light can be a beacon to others. Those that feel despair, feel desperate, and feel like there is no other way to go, they have a light that can guide them to a new place, a place of safety and a place of liberty, a place where God can move in their own lives, and they can understand that there is something greater than just the darkness and stumbling around blindly. We must allow the light to shine brightly and not be hindered. Light is easily seen in the darkness, because darkness is merely the absence of light. It is important for us to make sure that we have the light and that we make use of that light for good, so that others can see the paths before them, so they do not stumble in the darkness as we once did. We need to be unashamed of the light and go boldly before, so that others can see the beacon, the signal so that they can know that there is safety and freedom where we are. So as I come to a close, it is vital for us as Christians to listen to what Jesus is telling us. We must allow our light to shine brightly. One, we need it to show us our path. We need it to illuminate our steps so that way we can continue forward and continue moving. We need it so that it can illuminate our situation, so that we can accurately assess what is going on, accurately address what is needed to be done, and move forward. It's also important in emergencies, because the flashlight in the darkness can show others where that safety and freedom is. And as we dwell in the light, and as the light dwells within us, we must allow that to illuminate others that we come across so they can understand what is going on. The importance of a flashlight in any toolkit or toolbox cannot be stressed enough, in my personal opinion. I've seen, the emergency kits that you get for your car, and they typically come with a flashlight, because in any event, if it's dark, you want to make sure that you have some sort of light source that you can look at whatever your situation is and work on it. So any toolkit, in my opinion, needs to have a flashlight.
Right.
There are multiple uses that it has, and it's necessary for every household. You don't typically just have one flashlight. You typically see most households have multiple flashlights. And let me guess, they're all out of batteries, right? So it's important to have, but it is important to have a flashlight, because I remember one of our old houses that we lived in had old circuits or breakers that you had to replace the fuses and stuff by hand. It wasn't in the most illuminated area, so when the power went out, you had to go and scrounge around to try to find a flashlight, hope that the batteries were working. But it was important so that way we could get power back to the rest of the house, right? So it's important that we allow the Word to be that guiding light in our lives, so that we can show others, so that way we can illuminate our own lives, and so that way we can continue forward in our own walk with God. So again, I can't express the importance of a flashlight enough, in my own personal opinion. But it's important that we allow the light of God to shine through us each and every day, not only for ourselves, but for those that are around us. So, as long as I can continue with this, I'm going to keep on with more tools that we can utilize in our toolkit. But starting off with the flashlight, I think it's most important to have the light of God in our lives and allow the Word to illuminate our lives, and as we move forward, illuminate the lives of others so they can understand that this isn't just something that we do for necessarily the fun of it, but we do it because it's God, and God does so much in each and every one of our lives, and He's brought us from so many different things, so many different avenues, and I just think it's very important that we allow God to be our flashlight. As simple as that may sound, it's important to have that illumination in our lives.